Formula One has a brilliant history of cheating. Sometimes teams and drivers only just push the limits. Other times, entire plans are orchestrated and executed to perfection like something out of a heist movie. Drivers have literally cut corners to snatch pole, crashed into each other to win championships, and even risked massive explosions to score points. So we're going to go over some of the most genius cheats that you probably haven't heard of. Let's go. Michael Schumacher, back in his Ferrari days, found himself in a tough spot at Monaco. He was 1.5 race wins worth of points behind Fernando Alonso. He needed to win the Monaco Grand Prix and give himself a shot at his 8th world title. On a track where it's almost impossible to overtake, Ferrari were desperate for pole position. After setting the fastest time in Q3, he bizarrely lost control of his car at 10 miles an hour at the Rascasse corner. Meanwhile, Fernando was on his hot lap and 0.2 of a second up on Michael. However, Schumi had clumsily parked across the track and triggered a yellow flag, forcing Alonso to abandon his lap. Michael. And nearly every other driver on the grid called out Schumi on his dirty tactics. The FIA agreed with them, they denied him pole position, and he was made to start from the pit lane. Even though he may have cheated, he drove an epic race on Sunday to finish 5th, while Alonso cruised to a comfortable victory and went on to claim the championship that year. But while Fernando Alonso nearly got a rough deal in this incident, he was no stranger to benefiting from controversy. In 2010, team orders were banned by the FIA, but that didn't stop Rob Smedley's infamous message to Alonso's teammate Felipe Massa. Everybody say it with me. Fernando is faster than you. But that was nothing compared to what happened in the first Singapore Grand Prix in 2008, which was much more serious and very clearly illegal. On lap 14, Renault driver Nelson Piquet Jr. mysteriously lost control of his car coming out of turn 17 and hit the wall. He was out of the race, and one by one, all the drivers began to pit under the yellow flag and safety car. The pit lane was pure chaos. Felipe Massa even drove off with his fuel hose attached to his car, as every team double stacked their cars to get a cheap pit stop. That's every team except, of course, Renault. Alonso had started 15th on the grid and had already pitted on lap 12. He came out at the back of the field in 18th place on brand new tyres. By the time regular racing resumed, he was already in 4th place, only behind cars that hadn't yet pitted, and on fresher tyres. He cruised to Renault's first podium and race win of the season. The timing of Piquet's crash couldn't have been more perfect, and that's because, as Nelson Piquet Jr. told the FIA, the whole thing was planned. He had deliberately got on the throttle way too early as he came out of the corner, all in an attempt to crash in a believable way that would be certain to bring out the all-important safety car. Now, granted, Nelson conveniently came out with a statement nearly a year after the incident, and only once Renault had dropped him for Grosjean in the middle of 2009. But what followed was a slew of allegations, cancelled sponsorships, and bans for the team managing director, Flavio Briatore, and their executive director of engineering, Pat Symonds, who now I think works for Formula One. They were forced to leave Renault, and the shockwaves from the controversy spread to Renault F1's parent company, Renault, as well. Both Flavio Briatore and Pat Symonds actually managed to fight this in court, and somehow got a pardon. Who knows how?